Nights like tonight suck because there's no wind and it's so quiet that you can hear everything. That makes sleeping difficult. I guess the secret weapon is gonna have to come out tonight. The secret weapon when sleeping out in the wild alone is a good solid sleeping pill. Just so dang quiet. You'll be able to hear anything. Squirrel, mouse, deer walking, whatever. And that's when it really freaks you out. Everything sounds big in the dark. When there's no wind.
The Rocky Mountains in central Idaho and Montana are quite possibly as remote and rugged as anywhere else in the lower 48.
That was probably one of the more sleepless nights I've ever had in the wild.
And the abundance of game animals as well as animals of predation make bow hunting in Idaho as big of an adventure as you're willing to make it. Elk can be found almost anywhere, but when you're hunting alone, you might need to be prepared for some heavy lifting.
You know how you get an 800-pound elk off the mountain when you're by yourself? One piece at a time.
Growing up in the mountains and the most remote part of Idaho might seem as a disadvantage to some, but as for me, I can't imagine learning about the reality of life in any other way. Out here we learned about providing your own sustenance and self-sufficiency. On the farm, we learned how to grow food and the harsh reality of where the meat on our table really came from. I have a deep and lasting respect for all animals, both domestic and wild. But at the end of the day, the majority of them were placed on this earth for the nourishment and sustenance of man.
All right, got camp all dialed in. Anytime you're in bear country, wolf country, by myself, I like to set up this little camp alarm and makes me feel a little safer, I guess. Not any safer, but at least you know before you get your butt eaten, the alarm's gonna go off. I'm just gonna sneak up here, sneak up the straw, and I'm hoping that I'll find some water up there. There usually is, but where it's as dry as it's been much of a drought. I don't know how far down the canyon the water's coming, so hopefully find some water, and then I'm just gonna set up and glass for tonight. Normally in a canyon like this, when it's as dry as it is, you can hear hooves. I mean, you can hear them walking, milling through the trees or going across the shale or something. I've sat here for 3 hours. I haven't heard nothing. Go to bed, make a plan for tomorrow. I know what the end goal is. The end game is make something dead. That was probably one of the more sleepless nights I've ever had in the wild. There were animals walking by all night. It just was a super creepy night. So I didn't sleep good. I was uncomfortable and I was cold.
This terrain is so big and so vast, and pressured animals can hide almost anywhere. If you're not getting into the animals where you're at, then you've got to be willing to make a move. I've spent the better part of 3 days chasing old sign and blown-in tracks. I think the best move for me at this point is to break camp and start all over.
Kind of worn down, but that's the way it is. Over-the-counter tags, man. And you got a tough animal to bow hunt in this country. I'm just not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any of the sign, nothing. Not even hearing any elk, so This canyon must have just been hammered earlier on in the season. I mean, there's some remnants of some mule tracks and horse tracks and stuff, but just haven't seen nothing. So I'm gonna pack up my little camp here, get back down to the bottom and regroup, you know, look at the maps, I've got some secondary areas that I was checking out, but so we'll go see.
If you want to see more from behind the scenes or get some exclusive mogul content, connect with us on our website or social media at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Jeez. Yeah. Perfect shot. Well. There he is. Man. Nice bull. I don't know how many miles I put on today, but it wasn't until right before dark that I spotted this bull on another bull, and thought the gig was up. You know, I was sneaking up on him when he bounded off, and thought, crap, that stinks. So, you know, I went back to the stream there, and I was getting some water, drinking some water, and put my pack on. Got everything, put the camera in the bag, and I stood up and looked behind me, and this bull was about 40 yards, could have been closer, just staring at me. And I thought, oh, you dirty sucker. And I thought, if I can get my pack off my back and get everything ready, then I'm gonna shoot you. So I slipped off my pack, got everything, boom, and I thumped him. So looks like I'm going to be staying the night up on the mountain. There's no moon so far, so hopefully the moon will come out and give me a little reprieve so I don't burn out my headlamps. But great bull. I'll take some better pictures in the morning. Well, it was a long, cold night. Tucked into my survival blanket here. I always pack my survival medic. Got some survival stuff, fire starting stuff, whatever. But it's just breaking day. Wait for the sun to come out a little bit, I guess. Or just go start cutting. I'll take some pictures, that's what I'm gonna go take some pictures. I think I'll use this as a ground cloth. I'll leave this crap here. Looks like you survived. Tags are there. Can't tell you the last time I got an animal, but got him cleaned up last night. Took a few pictures, probably some crappy ones. So anyway, I'm gonna take a few photos and get him cutting up. I'm still tired, but it's gonna be a nice day getting this guy off the mountain. Pretty stoked for it. Anytime you can fill a tag, these elk are so pressured. I mean, this elk didn't make a peep. I mean, he kind of didn't bugle, but he sounded like a cow, you know, more than anything. Just a couple of times, and I didn't hear a single bugle yesterday, or the day before, or the day before that. So it's been pretty rough. These elk were pressured. 3 or 4 trips, get him knocked out.
To some on the outside looking in, it might seem like hunters are only in it for the kill and for the trophy. For the most part, that might be true. especially for guys like me to whom the trophy is the hundreds of pounds of clean and carefully cared for organic meat. This elk will provide not only for my immediate family, but also for dozens of friends at a variety of barbecues and holiday parties.
So because this is going to take me the better part of the day to get this elk off the mountain, I'm going to go ahead and stage him in this tree here. I'll hang him right here. And I don't usually take the meat off the bones right away. What I'll do is I'll hang them meat on bone so that they can cool and start to get that crust on the outside, but I'll keep everything as clean as possible, and I'll hang it all in this tree. Then when I get the whole entire elk broken down, I'll come and I'll start deboning and putting it into the game bags. Don't know why I grabbed the camera, but I just did. Didn't want to make 2 trips over here. You can see taking an elk apart by yourself is a chore, and it's a lot of heavy lifting. That's 2. Front quarter, hind quarter. Now it's time to take off the back strap and reach in and get those tenderloins. I'll try to keep this as clean as possible. Some of you might be a little bit gory, but I really want to show you how to go in for those tenderloins from the outside. That way, you know, when you're doing the gutless methods, you don't have to gut your animal, you can get them from the outside. As you can see, I mean, I've taken apart half of an elk. My hands aren't even bloody. That, my friends, is the most delectable part of any animal, the tenderloin. On an elk, it's an awesome size. I tend to get a little sloppy with a knife, so this may or may not be the right, wrong, best, whatever. You know, I'm sure guides and outfitters have been through the school and that kind of thing, know the exact cuts and everything to make, but bottom line, in my opinion, to debone an animal, you take the meat off the bone. And as long as you do that as cleanly and as efficiently as possible, mission accomplished in my book. I'm just gonna go right down this tendon until I get to that bone. And I'm just gonna peel the meat back, both sides, until I hit bone down here. Essentially, all I've done is just trimmed around that bone. Just cut that meat away. What I'll do with these bags, I really like them because they're rigid. You know, they hold their shape. So for packing, you know, packing meat, they're awesome because they're not going to stretch or anything. So once you get your meat in there, everything is nice and compact. So what I do is I just roll it down, just like some of you guys put on your pantyhose, and set the bottom of the quarter in there, and just kind of roll it on up. And then I'll roll it over, bottom, and basically just slide him on it. I'm on a little bit of an incline, so it makes it a lot easier. And I do that for a reason, just to kind of save my back, but also for just like this, to where that quarter easily slid right down there in that bag. As I'm getting down here, I've got 1 more quarter left to get in the bag, you know, so I've got these all staged here ready to go. What I'll do is I'll load my pack, and then the other ones that I leave here, because it's going to be some time, is I'll go ahead and hang those up in the tree so that they can continue to have air circulating all the way around them. Because it's going to be, you know, 3 or 4 hours by the time I get down to the truck and back up here for that second load. So, got to have game bags, keep all these flies off of it.
Brought to you by Solo Hunter Brand Apparel and the Solo Nation. Boast your brand today and join the Solo Hunter revolution.
Who likes it rare? Because I think it's gonna be rare. Maybe I'll just eat that one. Cook the other one. Tell I don't want to do this very bad. But you know what? That's all part of the job. That's where I wanted to show you guys everything that takes place after the kill. And I couldn't show you everything, obviously, you know, the complete boning process and the skinning and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot to it. But it doesn't always end after you get your pictures and your hero shots. All the work starts right afterwards. So that's kind of the intention with this episode, is to show everything after the fact, clear up to the point where it hits my truck and I'm driving down the road. Oh. The elk on the back. Oh shoot, I gotta go uphill.
Breaking down an elk by yourself and getting it a couple of miles off the mountain is definitely manageable. Filming this process every step of the way may have seemed like a huge chore, but in a lot of ways, it must have been a big help. Keeping my mind preoccupied with a task other than packing this elk out of the canyon may have just proved to have saved my sanity.
Last little rise. Out of the aspens.